Okay, welcome. Hello, everyone joining on in. This is fantastic. Hey, if you can have your video on today, we absolutely love being able to see you as well. If you want to have it off, that's totally fine as well. Maybe you're eating lunch or something, that's all good. You will notice that you are on mute, but we'll be presenting here today. Honestly, we're so excited. We have got the chat so you can interact there as well. So just before we get underway, I would love everyone here to pop in the chat, where are you in the world and what do you do creatively? Just pop that in the chat as we get underway and as we have more people joining us as well. Fantastic. Welcome if you've just joined us. There we go. Just popping in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Now, honestly, super excited about this one. We've got so much to cover. I am in Virginia at the moment. Most people that hear that I'm in Richmond, Virginia, are like, that does not sound like a Richmond, Virginia accent, Logan. I am from New Zealand originally, which is fantastic as well. Jillian from Australia, amazing. Thank you so much for joining. This is great. Most of our clients we do work with are based in the US, Canada, and then we have people scattered around the world as well. Australia, occasionally New Zealand, Europe, within that too. But primarily, a lot of our clients tend to be in the US. That's where I'm based, even though I'm from New Zealand originally. So there we go. If you were confused about the accent, you now know. If you've just joined us, pop in the chat there where you are in the world and what you do creatively. If you can have video on today, we'd love to be able to interact and see you as well. We'll make sure things are nice and interactive through the chat as well. I'm loving just reading through the chat here. Everyone's placed all over. I love that. Oakdale, amazing. Hey, Mindy, Salem, nice. Miami, Jennifer in Oregon, and also just awesome seeing all of the amazing visual creators we have here as well. Hey, Jenny, fantastic. Oh, this is so great. Love seeing where everyone is. We're going to get underway because we have a ton of things to cover. So, Shari, I'm going to hand over to you so you can do an intro.
Awesome. Thank you, Logan. So, hey, everyone, I'm Shari Borba. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer based in Oakdale, California, where I live with my husband and our three kids, who are 6, 8, and almost 10. And if we haven't met before, I'm also a licensed attorney. So, how did I end up here? Getting into the creative world wasn't really a straight path for me. I didn't go to art school. But I've been creating and painting since I was in diapers. In college, I took a few aptitude tests and they told me that I should really do something in social sciences. So I majored in sociology, geography, and anthropology. And then I ventured to law school. And then years later, I passed the bar and I got married. I had my kids, and I found that I really wanted to be home. So I came home, I left law, and I found myself creating and dreaming while my kids were napping. And I did lots of art challenges and commissions. And I spent a lot of years wondering whether I could really do illustration and graphic design as a business. And eventually I got serious and it turned into something more. So, illustration and design business. I get to work with businesses across the globe, bookshops across the United States, small businesses, and I partner with other creatives to help bring their ideas to life in a visual, meaningful way. I definitely didn't have it all figured out at the beginning, and imposter syndrome is still very real, but I've learned a lot along the way, and I'm really excited to share more about that journey and how it's still evolving today. So I'm thrilled to be co-hosting with Logan, the founder of Flammable Entrepreneur, and Alyssa, who was my point coach in their LTC program. And Logan's background is in entrepreneurship and creative business. He built his own creative business for 11 years, and he's worked with universities and creative programs, and now he coaches visual creatives around the world. When I started working with Logan and his team, I was really craving structure and strategy and support. And truly, I didn't know what questions that I should be asking as someone who wanted to bring my creative business to the next level. I was doing okay, but I felt really scattered and stuck in my own head. And since then, since working with them, I've built a lot of stronger systems. I've gained clarity. I've taken action on ideas that I'd been sitting on for honestly years. I've met my income goals repeatedly, and in May, I signed on for a multi-book contract that is honestly a dream project for me. So, if you've ever felt like you're stuck in a creative hobby zone or that you've been winging it and just guessing your way through business, then honestly, this session is going to be really helpful. Logan has a real great gift for helping creative people like us get out of our own way and build something sustainable without losing the heart of what we do. So, I'm excited for you to learn from him today, too. And with that, I'll hand it over to Logan to kick things off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shari. Really appreciate that. So just adding a little bit more there, as Shari said, my background is that I did have my own creative business. These days, the clients that we work with are people very much in the visual creative space. So like Shari, they're illustrators. We also work with muralists and graphic designers, and also people related to these fields as well. Most of our clients do tend to be in the US and Canada, even though I'm from New Zealand originally. And then, a really important part of this is really the stages that we work with. Honestly, we work with people at lots of different stages, early stage, like trying to get things going. Maybe they have a day job, maybe they're caring for children right now, and they really want to get things started and get things moving. We also work with people that are like, hey, like I've been doing this for a little bit now. I'm really trying to make this more sustainable. I have these goals. I really want to, move things forward financially, but also expand offerings and get more balance. We also occasionally work with people who have been in business for like 10, 20, even sometimes 30 years and help them have more balance, more income, and also often expand offerings once again. So we have an awesome training plan for today. Honestly, I'm super excited about running you through all the different things. The types of things that we'll be teaching today, as well as the things we do in our coaching programs, are things that I used to teach at universities right up to a master's level as well. I've always had that passion for entrepreneurship. I went and did an entrepreneurship master's myself, but also I've always been so passionate about the art, the creative side as well. So we're really going to be talking about both sides, the creative side and the business side as well. So before we dive in too much, I do want to introduce Alyssa as well. Alyssa is one of the point coaches on my team. We've got her to support today, as well as add a few of her thoughts and ideas along the way too. So I'll get you to introduce yourself next. Alyssa, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Logan. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. My name is Alyssa Harmon, and I am the program manager and one of the business point coaches here at Flammable Entrepreneur. So I work very closely with Logan and the rest of our team. It's great to be here with you all today. I am based in sunny Tampa, Florida, and I've had the pleasure of living and working in various parts of the US. So my background is actually in higher education. I received my master's in higher education and my doctor of education in educational leadership. So I specialize in working with adult learners and truly value building strong relationships with our clients. So thank you so much for being here today. Back to you, Logan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alyssa. What we are going to be doing right towards the end of the call is we are going to be giving away some free coaching calls. They will be with Alyssa as well as Paul, who's the creative business specialist, one of the other coaches on the team as well. He's not going to be here today, but we have got Alyssa here, which will be fantastic. So do make sure you stick around for the end, because I literally am going to be dropping a link. So you can literally just book in one of those freebie clarity calls either in the next couple of days or sometime in the next 2 weeks. So we'll be doing that towards the end. Okay, we have a ton to cover. So first of all, I want to say congrats for just being here, for showing up, right? Because one of the big things that we see is the difference between people that are successful visual creatives and not successful is that the successful ones take action. They show up to things like this, and they're committed to their own growth. So first of all, just a pat on the back for actually being here. It's really, really important. I know everyone's busy. I know everyone's got things to have. We've got people that are taking their lunch hour right now from maybe a day job. We've got people that are busy on projects. Great to have you here. This workshop is designed for people at multiple stages. Whether you are early stage, further along, you're going to learn multiple things from this as well. Today is about action. One of my biggest passions is to help people actually do the things, not just learn the things. Right, big part of our coaching is to get beyond the ideas and yes, this could be cool. I could do this too. Hey, let's get it happening. Let's get you actually doing it. Let's get you leaving that day job or scaling your income or growing what you do, expanding your offerings. So today's workshop might be one of the most important workshops you take this entire year, because we're going to be sharing a ton of things. Make sure you've got something you can take notes on, or a document open, because we're going to fire through a lot of information during this workshop as well. So what we wanted to do is run a workshop all around how Shari went from working corporate to being a full-time visual creative. We're going to talk about marketing and offerings and mindset. We're going to cover a lot on this call, basically talking about how to actually do these things. So first thing to acknowledge is that being great creatively is something, but unfortunately it's not enough. I kind of wish it was. I wish it was like, hey, if you're really good at your craft, you're really creative, your designs, your creations are incredible, then you could just have a full-time creative business. The truth is that there's another whole side to it, as we all know. It's the business stuff, the marketing, the admin, the finance, managing your time, organizing yourself, right? These are important pieces of it as well. And honestly, this is part of why I do the work and my team does the work that we do, is because many creative, talented creative people, they struggle with that stuff. They ignore it, they don't like it, they struggle with it, they don't know about it, right? So what we're going to really focus on is more of that business side. And we're going to go through some of the classic stuff that tends to come up for people, and also give some advice and ideas around what you can do about it. The first thing we're going to cover is really talk about how you can actually earn, right? What you can actually offer. This is a really important part of it. Part of what we often do early on when we're working with people that are early stage or further along is look at what are they actually offering and to who, right? A lot of people tend to say, hey, I'm a talented creative person. I can do a bunch of things. Let me know how I can help. Well, unfortunately, people are often looking for something quite specific. So it's really important that you get really clear on exactly what is it that you offer. When I say offerings, I'm talking about what are your services, what are your products, right? And who are you offering them to? So what we recommend is generally to have 3 to 5 different types of offerings, right? That could be, you're like, hey, I'm going to go do book illustrations. I'm going to do murals. I'm going to get into packaging designs, right? They're just 3 examples of different types of offerings. Yes, there's lots of ways to break them down further and get into the intricacy of that, but good to have that understanding that usually 3 to 5 offerings is what we'd recommend. Now, I'm not saying 1 and I'm not saying 10, right? A lot of people we start talking to are like, I could do this, I could do that, or I'm doing this. You're creative people, right? And that tends to mean you might have a lot of different ideas, right? You might have a lot of different ideas for what you could do, what you could offer, or you're already trying to do that. We say narrow it down. At the same time, don't just try and do one thing. Yeah, there's a lot of information online that says do just one thing. Well, that's really boring for creative people. And you don't have a lot of diversity in there. If that doesn't work out or you lose interest in that thing, you have to start fresh. So what we generally recommend is 3 to 5. 3 might be your earliest stage. You haven't been doing this for very long, or you have children, or you have a day job, right? You've got other things, so you can't commit to more. Well, if you've got more time, you've been doing this for longer, you might be able to have 5 different offerings or revenue streams there, right? Really, really important thing. Something else that I am going to share around this is that some offerings are different to others, right? There's offerings that will work well, there's offerings that won't work so well. So part of it is looking at where is your current skill set, what can you already offer based off that skill set, but also what are the sorts of things that can actually grow a sustainable long-term business. So something that we really recommend here is that the majority of those offerings should be at least $300 in what you would sell them for, whether it's a service or a product. At least $300. I'm saying at least. Ideally, you can sell something for $500, $1,000, $5,000. Fantastic. Now, that's not to say that you can't do things that are under $300. We're just saying that that doesn't generally tend to be the thing that will get you sustainable income, get you leaving the day job, get you building this business in a sustainable way. So I'm talking about things like licensing, print on demand, stickers, Etsy stores, prints. We have clients that do all those sorts of things, but it tends to be a smaller portion of their time, 10% of their time, 20, 30, 40% of their time. What they then do is spend the majority, 60% plus of their time, is usually focused on the $300 plus stuff. There's lots of reasons why this exists, but this is just based on what we've seen over many, many years, what actually gets people success. And I think, honestly, part of this is that it's a numbers game. If you're selling something for a $30 print or a $3 sticker, you have to sell so much volume every single month to actually make enough income to replace a day job or have long-term sustainable income, right? So that's part of it there. So look, as you grow your business further, yes, you might be able to expand your offerings. Maybe you do have some more of those sorts of kind of smaller income things as part of it. But the bread and butter, the core of what you offer, really needs to be those things that are $300 plus. And that's a bare minimum, by the way. I'm not saying look for things that are 300. I'm saying at least 300 on that. Shari, would love to hear your thoughts and experiences around that kind of the offering side on your journey.
Yeah, so for me, sustainability doesn't really mean locking yourself into one niche. For me, it really means building around what works for you. So when I first started, I was doing mostly watercolor commissions. They were like small one-off pieces that eventually led to a children's book. And I loved illustrating children's books, and I thought that that might be my direction. But after working on that for a while, I realized that children's books weren't really sustainable for me long term. The projects required a ton of hours. Most authors had really limited budgets, and each book took months to complete. It is doable for some, so I'm not going to say just don't do that, but it didn't bring me a lot of joy or fit into our schedule really well, so I pivoted. And that pivot led to offerings with digital illustration, which opened the door to new opportunities like art licensing, and eventually led to book cover design, which still lets me tell the stories that I want to tell, but it's in a way that better fits my energy and my timelines and my income goals. So from there, my business started expanding in ways that I didn't expect, and I picked up graphic design work, which is actually kind of funny enough now my main income source. And I don't even share about that on my Instagram account, but I continue to do custom digital illustrations, occasional traditional artwork, and I license artwork out of my own personal projects. But on top of that, I've also started doing some education in-person art workshops and exploring creative education as another income stream. That is something that I really enjoy because of the community and the connection that it creates. So I guess I'd have to say at the core of all of this, I've learned that I don't personally need to stick to one niche, even though that is something that a lot of people will tell you to do. For me, having a mixture of income streams that reflect the different parts of my creativity is what actually brings me a lot of stability and joy. Because when one area is quiet, I just focus on another. And that kind of variety is what really keeps me sustainable. Like Logan mentioned, having three core offerings for me, that's illustration work that can be art licensing or commissions. My second offering is book design, which is mostly book covers, and then graphic design work with small businesses. And then throw in the workshops and creative community education also. That's about four. And honestly, each of those categories do offer a lot. And it sounds like, wow, you're doing a whole lot of different things. But at the same time, I have a structure and I have breathing room. And within each of those offerings, I have, my own pricing sheet and things that I work through. So that helps me keep really clear, and I'm not being so restrictive that I'm able to allow and stay open for the right kind of work when the right client or the right opportunity comes along. So for me, building a creative business that has flexibility and range has really been the key to being sustainable.
I love that. It's so, so powerful. And part of the reason we're doing this is to help you to see, yes, the tips, the ideas from myself, from Alyssa, but also actually hearing from Shari the real stuff, right? Like the examples of this in action and how she's actually used these different ideas to grow her business, to actually not have to go back to having a full-time job, to actually expanding what she's doing. So just love, love having you here to really share these different things as well, Shari. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to be talking about finding clients, the marketing side. On the marketing point, let's use this as an opportunity to get you all connected and also to connect with you. So if everyone can drop in their Instagram URL, Shari and myself will also drop ours in. Celeste from my team will also drop the Flammable Entrepreneur one in if we're not connected already. Make sure you grab the URL. So if everyone can actually go to open up a browser, grab the URL and drop it in there, we would love to get connected with you if we're not already. Amazing people starting to drop it in there now. And make sure you do click our one there under Celeste, as well as under Sherry's one there too. We would love to get connected with you. And then go through and connect with everyone else that has dropped their links, right? This is part of building a creative business, is building a supportive network and community. It's also part of the marketing side as well, is having more people knowing that you exist within that as well. So I love how everyone's going through. Everyone got it. I love that. Make sure you don't just put the at tag, put that URL there, and then go through, and then it's clickable for everyone else. Go through, connect with people here, see what they're up to, people that are on here live as well. Amazing. Thank you so much for that. What we're going to talk about next is basically more of that marketing side. So, getting clients is obviously what brings you to having a sustainable long-term business, right? And that ultimately is marketing. So whether you're early stage, you're trying to get things started, you've never had clients before, or you're further along and trying to expand, these are really, really relevant and important points for you. One of the biggest issues in business is that not enough people know you exist. And I'll add to that, not enough of the right people know you exist. Really, really important. These people are your ideal clients, your target markets, the people that are not just needing what you have, but willing to pay what you want to charge as well. That's the biggest challenge. And I talk to people all the time, yes, both our clients as well as people I speak to who struggle with this stuff. I'm like, hey, why is your business not growing? And they're like, oh, because I don't have enough potential clients. I don't have enough people contacting me. I'm not sending any proposals or enough proposals, right? It's the biggest challenge. And to really understand that more deeply is so important. Sometimes people think, oh, maybe I don't have any clients because I'm not good enough, right? Maybe, I've got my work out there. I'm posting on Instagram. I've got a website. How come, where are the clients? Maybe they don't like my stuff. Maybe I'm not that good. That's often what comes up for many people. The majority of the time, the problem is that not enough of the right people know that you exist. Not enough of the right people know that you exist. So your job as part of growing a sustainable business is to get more of the right people to know that you exist, right? Now, part of this here is, yes, get more clarity around what you're offering and who you're offering it to, right? That's part of it, right? And then what you need to do is make sure that audience, those ideal clients, are aware of what you offer. So there's a few different tips around this. One of them that works really well is to put examples of the work that you want to do out there, right? So if you have had past clients, make sure you put that work out there on your website as examples, on your Instagram as an example, right? Because you want to attract more of that sort of work. Great, put it out there. If you haven't had clients before, or you don't have much that you can share, okay, well, you can do mock-ups, you could do personal projects, right? You really want to share examples of your creativity, your designs in use, right? This is a big mistake we see a lot of people make, is that on their website and on their Instagram, there's lots of maybe designs, and you're like, your work's really interesting. Are you a student? Is this a hobby? Right? How can that actually be displayed? And whereas if you're more clear, saying, hey, here's my designs on a book cover, or here's my illustrations on a website example, or here's an example of my work if I'm a muralist on a wall, right? Whether that's digitally mocked up or a personal project, really, really important to show your work in action. This is a great way to find more amazing clients. Now, part of that is because, being blunt, is that most of your clients won't have the imagination to turn your current work into what it could be for them. So sometimes you do need to show them examples of, here's what this design would look like on a wall if you're a muralist, or on that package, right? There's so many things you can do within this. Another part of building a business and gaining clients is building trust, right? People are going to work with people that they know, like, and trust. So part of your job is to build more trust. How do you do that? Well, you can share testimonials. You can share more about what it's like to work with you. You can put these things on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on your website, right? So really, really important to build some trust. Part of building trust is also putting yourself out there in these different areas. It's kind of harder to trust someone if you go to their website and you can't track down an Instagram. You're like, is this person real? I don't know. Right? What if they don't have a LinkedIn up, right? Even if you don't build an audience on LinkedIn and you're not really focused on that, you can still build a profile, have a small presence there. It builds more trust that you're a real person that can be trusted. Really, really important. The other side of that is showing up as you, right? When I say you, I'm talking about like your face on the about page, right? So on the about page of your website, it shouldn't just be a generic page of information about the company. It's like people want to work with a person, and that's how you build trust. Really, really important, particularly as a small business. Look, a little bit different if it's a big organization, big brand, they've poured money into the brand budget. You really are your brand when you have a small creative business. So putting yourself out there, showing that you're a real person. Can you put your face on social media? Right? That's scary. I know a lot of people struggle with that, but it is important to sometimes have you showing up on your Instagram. Doesn't have to be a video of you dancing there, doesn't even have to be a video, but you being on your Instagram occasionally is going to bring more of that personalization and build more of that trust as well. Then, in terms of your marketing, yes, this is something you're going to have to figure out and figure out where to put that energy. I know often online we hear like, be everywhere, do everything. You've got to be on all the platforms. It's just not true. Really, really important. Well, yeah, if you've got a big marketing team, maybe. No one we work with has a marketing team. We work with mostly people who are a solo business owner, right? They're working on this by themselves. They have to do the different things. So one of the big approaches here is to really figure out where to put the core of your energy when it comes to marketing. We've really noticed with people that we work with in the visual creative space, that tends to be things like social media, of course, networking, cold outreach, partnerships, and even building things like referrals and different relationships. Also, early on, if you're starting from scratch, this is also about connecting with what we call your warm network. They're just the people around you, right? Your friends, your family, your past colleagues, your current colleagues, right? Make sure they're aware of what you're doing. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to be the customers, the clients, but it might be someone that they know. Right. Once again, you can build trust that way because they trust their friend. If they refer to you, well, okay, there's trust through that process as well. So absolutely love that. There's a lot in the subject, right? But part of it here is understanding that part of your job is to get in front of enough people. So unfortunately, just being good at your work is not going to be good enough. You are going to need to lean into these types of marketing as well. Shari, would love to hear some of your thoughts, experiences around the marketing side as well.
Sure. One thing that I really learned was that you don't necessarily need a massive audience. You actually just need, like Logan said, the right people to see the right kind of work. So for me, I actually do have kind of an okay following. I have about 40,000 followers, but the follower count doesn't automatically equal success. And for a long time, I still wasn't getting consistent inquiries for work that I really wanted to do. And a lot of my followers followed me without the end goal of working with me, but just because I post art and other people like to look at art. So Logan really helped me realize that it's not just about my visibility and my follower count, and it's really about alignment. And I'll say that again, alignment. I needed to really get clear on what I wanted my offerings to be, like he said, and then ask myself when I'm creating or when I'm posting, who is this for? Who is my target market that I really want to work with? And like I said earlier, I really wanted to branch out into illustrating book covers because that aligned with my life. And the time when I wanted to do that, most of my followers were other creatives and they weren't ideal book cover clients like authors or bookshops or publishers. So I really needed to not only reframe my content strategy of what I'm posting, but I needed to get clear about who I'm trying to attract, right? And then physically seek out those people, follow the types of people, follow the types of clients that I wanted to attract, and then post what I offer them. So, how can you find them? For example, if you are wanting to get into illustrating book covers, follow book publishers. Look on lists off Google, LinkedIn, hashtags. Look at books that you like and find the authors online. And these are real strategies that can help you find clients that you can outreach to, but also that can help inspire you and see what they're looking for when you're trying to find the right clients, or when they're trying to find the right people to work with. So another strategy that Logan kind of mentioned is post what you want to offer. And they might even see you without you finding them because you're in the space that they're looking for it. So I'll talk about this more in the social media section, but I made a mock romance book cover when I decided, okay, I want to lean more into book covers. I made one random day. It was a personal project. No one told me to do it. It wasn't even connected to a challenge, but I shared it. And you know what happened? It got like a fraction of the views that I normally get. And I was so like, okay, I guess nobody really wants to see this from me. And that's what I kind of thought, but I kept going. I kept showing up, sharing more book covers, researching ideal clients and following them on social, and not just hoping that they would magically find me. But before I even sent a pitch to one of the ideal clients, I got an inquiry through my website from someone who had seen that mock romance book cover that I just randomly posted. And I'll share more about what that led to later, but the moral of the story is that it didn't happen by accident. I wasn't just sharing whatever I wanted to share, and then someone came out and asked me if I wanted to create my dream project. It happened because I put the right kind of work out there and I followed the right kind of accounts and I showed up in places that my ideal clients were already looking. So that's how I kind of started aligning my work with the clients that I actually wanted to attract, and how it led to one of my biggest opportunities yet.
I love it. And yeah, definitely we'll chat more about that in the social media section too. Because I think, it's really important to understand that the way that you think you should build a business isn't always the way that makes sense or what will actually get the results, right? We often hear you've got to do this on social media, you've got to maybe post every single day. Well, that's not the only way. And also there's lots of different ways it can be successful. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But what I want to dive into next is really talking more about productivity and goals and things around this, because yes, absolutely, there's the business stuff for sure. Well, part of that comes down to organizing your time, having clear goals, getting productive, getting things planned, working out what you're doing when, right? So a really important part of this is actually getting clear on what you want. Right? What is your goal? Now, often when we start working with clients, they've got, vague goals, some more clarity, some have like, oh, I think I want to go this way. We have to really get really clear on exactly what those goals are. Is it to leave a day job? Is it to earn X monthly income? Right? Even if those goals evolve and change over time, let's get clear on a direction to start moving in. Really, really important. So there's a lot of people we speak to who actually think it's not possible, right? They're like, well, I would love to leave my day job, but I don't know if that's possible. And we're kind of like, well, has anyone else ever done it before? Yes, right? Lots of people have, right? So it's possible. And sometimes we need to break through that thing there, get clear on what is the dream, okay, and then figure out what are the reasonable goals within that, including things like time frame as well. So, when it comes to getting things done, what we find is that most people, yes, once they've got clarity around their goals, fantastic, there's things that they can do to work towards those goals, right? The tasks. But what do people end up doing? Well, they tend to work on anything that's right in front of them, right? We all do this, right? The email that comes to us or the notifications that pop up, they are the things that grab our attention and grab our time. Most of us spend a huge amount of time on things that we define as urgent, right? They're like right in front of us. They're that email, that project, or that notification, or that social media DM. Those are the things that are urgent, that grab our attention. Are they important though? Are they important to the bigger goals that we have? So this is something we need to get really clear on, is how are you spending your time? And if that time looks like 40 hours a week, okay, well, how are you spending that 40 hours a week on your business? If it looks like 4 hours per week because you have a day job and children and you're trying to balance a lot of other things, okay, how can you use that 4 hours really effectively? Not just doing just the stuff that's in front of you, but also doing those important things. Marketing is one of those important things, right? If you don't post on Instagram or send that a cold email, or if you don't do those things marketing wise, well, your business probably isn't going to fail today or tomorrow or even next week. But you're going to suddenly find I have no clients, right? Because it doesn't tend to be an urgent thing. You're like, I can always do that post tomorrow or the next week. And we kind of end up delaying and putting those things off forever. So part of this here is, yes, get clear on what you want, what you need to do, but also you then need to put some systems in place to actually getting those things done, getting those important things done that may not seem as urgent. Now, what we want to make sure you do is reach a point in your business where you're feeling calm and in control. It shouldn't be just frantic work. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Oh, that's right. I'm meant to post on social media. I've got 10 minutes to do that, right? Feeling rushed. That's just overwhelming. That's how you end up leading to burnout, right? So we need to make sure that we're planning our time, we're having systems in place around this as well. And part of this is to have accountability, right? This is also one of the reasons why people end up working with us, is that they need the support, the direction, and the accountability, rather than just leaving it to an unknown future. Is going, hey, actually having support to do those things in what order, but also actually having someone who's like, have you done the thing? Right? So powerful. Simple things like that are really, really incredible as well. So a big piece of this here is helping you see that, yes, the business stuff, you've got to learn that, how to market, what to do there, obviously working on your craft, but there's this whole other area of productivity, goals, and even the mindset side of that as well. Shari, would love to hear some of your experiences around these different elements.
Yeah, totally. So, for me as a creative, lifelong learning, like learning about the business, learning about my craft, that's all really essential. And I think for a lot of people it is, but without, like Logan said, without some goals and structure, it can become a real distraction and it can actually hinder your growth. So I am a total lifelong learner and I love learning, and most creatives do. And I think if you're here, then you probably love to learn too, but that's great. Without having some sort of clear purpose, it's really easy to get stuck in that just one more course, or I just need to learn this, or I haven't fully learned how to do that yet, so I can't put myself out there and say I offer this cycle. Have you been there? Logan and Alyssa really helped me set specific business goals to help me get out of those types of cycles, and that really changes a lot. So suddenly I can ask, with whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm learning, is it moving me towards goal XYZ? So instead of jumping to the next shiny tutorial or getting lost in research about this one business aspect, I get really intentional. What do I need right now to take the next step in my business? So, for example, I want to work in book covers. My next goal is to make 10 mock-up book covers to share on my Instagram. Or I want to work with 5 new clients in the next 6 months. So, do I have a goal around outreach? What about consistency on Instagram or networking? I also created routines and daily to-do lists that align with those goals. So have you heard of the AnyList app? It's one of my favorite things, or Trello. That helps me stay balanced because then I can have my client work, my family life, my admin, my volunteer work. I can start tracking my time and see where those hours are going. I made a simple Google spreadsheet one afternoon, and I intentionally make space for the non-goal oriented learning and play too, because here's the thing, not all learning needs to be business focused. So sometimes a creative refresh is the goal, right? Take a pottery class, bake a cake, sign up for a Zoom or a book club. Those can be the thing that fuels the creative part of you and really is important for sustainability in a business. So working 24/7 on your admin stuff and getting all those other things done is not going to keep you going. It'll just burn you out. So you need strategies and systems to help you take really actionable steps towards those things, but also plan in other non-goal oriented things in your life. But knowing where everything fits in your week, where business learning fits in, is what keeps you grounded and focused, and not like you're drowning in too much information, because the overwhelm can be real. Without those goals and that structure, it can start to feel very suffocating. So for me, also, having a coach and a community that I can check in with helps me stick to my plan and my goals. If I didn't have accountability, I'm more likely to drift off track or get overwhelmed by options. But the bottom line is get clarity around your goals. I want to work with 5 new clients. I want to upskill on X platform, and then take those small actions for those goals and see where your time is actually going. Find accountability, and it'll lead to momentum day in and day out.
I love it. I think, the key word there being structure. The other thing I also love, what Shari shared with you, is she said, for me, this is what works for me. So part of this process is experimentation and trying different strategies, right? It's not just do this thing here and it's going to work for everyone, right? That is part of the process too. And also, everyone has different stories, lives, personalities, backgrounds, time, right? So part of it is also putting in place what works for you. Really, really important. I love that you've really dug into that part there, Shari. What we're going to talk next is a bit about social media, because I think it's banned around as a thing. I think we all kind of like have love and hate relationships with Instagram and social media in general. We totally get that. We're going to also get you to rethink the different ways that you can utilize social media as well. First of all, you can use it as a community, right? Exactly like we've done here. If you've just joined us, you've joined us a bit later on, like pop in your Instagram link in the chat there. This is a great way to get connected. Building community, such an important part of it, right? We know because we see the power of community within our programs and how people get connected and they refer each other work, or they build camaraderie, they build friendships, they help each other out, they give each other tips. Really, really an important part of it. So social media is a tool for that. There's a lot that you can use social media for beyond just the posting, right? Okay, pop those reels up, get those posts up. Yes, there's value in that. We're all looking for, going viral and, getting all of those likes, getting 100,000 likes on a post. Well, yes, that has its value. It's not the only way to build a business. Yes, we have a small portion of our clients, about 10% of our clients tend to have over 10,000 followers on Instagram. Most of our clients actually have really small followings or barely a following at all. There is lots of ways you can utilize social media to be effective without having 100,000 followers. There's also lots of other ways to market your business as well. We do always recommend that you still do have an Instagram, even if it's not the thing that you're core focused on, right? Even at minimum, if you can post once a week or even a couple of times a month, right? That is a good minimum because there's other forms of value. If you're doing cold outreach or if you've got your website, well, people might still go and check your social media to check that you're real, check that you actually exist. And if you haven't posted there for 2 years, they might be like, is this person still in business? I'm not too sure, right? So a really, really important thing to recognize there is that having an Instagram set up is a way to build some credibility. It's also a way to display some of your artwork in a bit of a portfolio as well, right? It doesn't just have to be on your website. You can be displaying it there and bringing you in, as I said earlier, your face there too. There's lots of other things that you can do. One of them is that you can literally direct message your audience, right? So you can chat with people there, people that are following you, people that end up following you. You can both do what Shari said and go find them, start up conversations. You can do that in the DMs. I think there's some people that are here live with us right now who are literally having a DM with myself, Celeste on the team, and our DMs through our Flamboy Instagram. We love being able to chat to people in the DMs as well. This is a great way to connect that can build community and also can build clientele as well. The other thing here I will say around social media is that I think pretty much everyone can get more clear around what they do by sharing it on their social media profile, right? Literally go to your profile right now, click up, go right up to the top and go, is it clear right now what I offer and that I'm in business? So many people it's not, right? You might be like, oh, I like clients, but it doesn't say that. You're like, is this person, is it a hobby? I'm not really too sure, right? So this is a really important thing. Even if you're not posting consistently, is it clear on your profile write-up that you're in business, that you're looking for clients, and is there some clarity around what you actually offer? This is really, really important to be aware of as well. Shari, we'd love you to share a bit more of your story there around social media as well.
Yeah, totally. So social media, love-hate relationship. It honestly started to feel like a chore for me. So there was a time that I was posting art every single day, 7 times a week to stay visible. I was chasing the algorithm. It was stressful if my engagement dropped, and it got really old really, really fast. So the shift kind of happened for me when I stopped trying to post every day. I stopped trying to post picture perfect type content. I got strategic around my content, sharing old work that I had or finding new ways to share work multiple ways, or sharing about things that maybe my future clients would be interested in, having different ideas. And then most importantly, I started looking at the personal work that I was sharing, if it had some sort of purpose to move my business forward. And that purpose can literally be, is this going to help me connect with people? Or is it going to get my work seen by someone who might want to work with me someday? It can be any gamut of those things. But one of my biggest opportunities, like I talked about earlier, came from the personal project that I shared on a whim. The mock romance book cover I illustrated just for fun, words are hard, sorry, that I mentioned earlier. It wasn't part of a challenge. I didn't tag anyone, I didn't get a ton of engagement, but the right person saw it. So A small bookshop owner found that post. They went to my website and they reached out, and that one post turned into a multi-book cover contract. Special limited edition dust covers, a bookcase, edges, illustrated end papers, the full shebang, just because I posted one single post that aligned with the work that I wanted to do. So, likes and views can be great, but they don't build a business. People do. So, when I started using social media to connect, not just promote everything, started to really feel human again. And I would follow people in the industries I wanted to work with, comment, share, connect with people. And it no longer felt like a performance or like I'm self promoting, but it started to feel more like a conversation. Because, like Logan says, people want to hire people that they know, like, and trust. And social media is a place where you can be that person. It's free, and people are able to get to know you, what you do, what you offer, and you can connect with someone thousands of miles away. And that's the other thing. Working from home as creative can be really isolating sometimes, but we're lucky because social media can connect you globally with not only clients, but other people around the world to give you inspiration, to give encouragement, form actual friendships that keep you going and lead to opportunities for business that you would not really have otherwise. So, art challenges, personal projects, creative projects just for fun might not sell something right away, but they plant seeds. They build trust. They open doors later on. So I like to think of social media now as a win-win-win. It inspires other people, it helps you grow, and it connects you to real people, real opportunities, and real support. So, yeah, once I started using social media as a tool for connection instead of perfection, it completely changed the game for me. Thanks for
I love
hanging in there for that.
I love it. I think, this is so good because once again, everyone, like this is Sherry sharing the real stuff, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I can share, the different tips, ideas, things that we see working for our clients, but you actually being able to hear it from Sherry, like these are things that have worked for her. And it's also a journey that she's still on. She's still figuring things out as part of that as well. So absolutely love this. Look, we've covered a ton of stuff today. If you do have a question that you want to ask, pop it in the chat. We're still going. We've still got plenty to cover, but just wanted to make space for that. I've already got that there from Amy. And yeah, Sherry's put something in there in the chat as well. We'll talk a bit more about some of these things as well. If you do have a question you want to ask, pop it in the chat. We'll get to what we can. We did have some questions that were sent in beforehand as well. Now, the thing is, what we've covered today has been a lot of information, a lot of really powerful, important information. In the end, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Right? Having more clarity, some learnings around these different things we've covered, absolutely, that's really helpful and powerful. But what we often see is that people need to dig a lot deeper, right? They need to figure out those business elements. They need to get more clarity around their goals, their offerings, what to do marketing wise as well, right? So the truth is what we've covered today is just really the tip of the iceberg of what's required to build that long-term successful and sustainable business. So what we're going to do is we are going to be giving away some free clarity calls. Anyone can book them. I have got some things that I will share just to make sure we're all clear on that. I'm going to literally be dropping a link so that you can just book in a call with Alyssa and Paul. This is really an opportunity to take you through, process some of what you've learned today, dig in a bit more and help you figure out what's holding you back and figure out the strategy from here, right? So this is also an opportunity. If you are interested in learning more about how we work with people, absolutely, Alyssa or Paul, they'll take you through what's involved in that as well, if there's some interest there. I am going to drop this link in, and I would love basically everyone here who's on live to book in a call if this is something that you would love to talk more about. So I've got a couple of caveats I will share around this just to make sure everything's fair. Both Alyssa and Paul are phenomenal coaches. They're also really busy, right? So we want to make sure we value their time. So the three caveats I have, number one is that you're ready to take action now, right? You want to leave your day job in the next year or two. You want to grow what you're doing. If you're just gathering ideas and information and you're not ready to implement them, then please don't book this call. This is for people that want to learn, want to grow, want to figure things out, and would love to use that free call as an amazing resource for that. So that's the first caveat. The second caveat is that we want you to be open to sharing, right? Sharing your dreams, your goals, your challenges, what's getting in the way. Part of that is going to be getting a little bit vulnerable as well, right? Basically, we're saying we would love you to be coachable so that you are open to hearing their ideas and observations from all of their experience as well. Then the third thing, pretty obvious, but if you book a call, we want to make sure that you commit to it, right? You don't no-show on them, you commit to it, you be there. You also are ready to take notes, you're at a desk, you've got good Wi-Fi, it will be on Zoom with video, right? This is an opportunity to connect. Their time is incredibly valuable. We would love to do more of these free calls, but we can only do them occasionally. So we've only got limited spots there. So I do just ask, if you're on here live with us, can you just pop in the chat? Yes, agreed, sounds good, something like that, just to make sure we're all on the same page around this. Yes, happy, fair enough, just popping something in the chat there, just to make sure we're all in agreement there before I drop that link for that free call. Thank you, everyone. Yes, agreed, good, love it. Yes, please. Fantastic. So I'm going to pop that link in now. Everyone here, pop that link open, get it open. You can book it in right now. If it doesn't work right away, you may need to just select a new time because there is multiple people on the call here today. Pop that in, and that call will either link you to a call with either Alyssa or Paul, right? They're two phenomenal coaches. My recommendation is do it as soon as possible, as in there is times for even tomorrow or on Friday. Otherwise, anytime next week or the week after, you will see that there's times open. It does show up in your time zone that you're in. Right, really, yes, I'm in East Coast time right now, but your time will actually show up, whatever time zone you're in within that. Amazing. I can see that some people are booking things in. That's fantastic. We're going to keep going because I do want to cover some of these questions, but I just want to make sure that everyone here has got that link. Grab that there and make sure you're just clear on those caveats. Also, please, if you do book in a call, please keep an eye out for an email from Celeste. Celeste is here on the call with us as well. Celeste will be in touch with you just to finalize a few things and also to just get a little bit more information just to help Alyssa and Paul prepare for that call to get the most from it as well. All right, so questions. We're going to get this first question. Alyssa, I'm going to get you to answer this one here because I think this is a good one to dive into. So this first question is, how do you know when you're ready or financially ready to leave your day job? Love to hand to you, Alyssa, to share your expertise around that one.
Great question. Thank you. Yeah, this is one we get pretty frequently, I would say. Naturally, it depends on the individual, right? But we've seen generally it takes about 6 to 18 months for people to leave their day job or get a sustainable income from their creative business. And that's from when we start working with people, when we start working with you. So we have seen people do this faster, within 2 to 3 months even. But it's important to keep in mind that before leaving your day job to go full time on your creative business, you want to already have revenue coming in to support yourself, right? So, there are other things that you can consider when making a decision like this. For example, can you go part-time temporarily on your day job or do some contract work for your old job for a few months? Ultimately, you want to make sure that your business is set up and you know how to market yourself and how to land clients. Oftentimes, people just need more time to grow further. So about 6 to 18 months for a general answer to that question. But most importantly, just knowing how to market yourself and how to land those clients in advance. So that way you are prepared to go ahead and make that leap.
I love this. I think, just such a powerful piece of advice there from Alyssa, because lots of people get this stuff wrong, right? We've seen people who basically go cold turkey completely, right? As in they leave their day job and they expect income to come in straight away. Look, some people are in positions where they have supportive partners or savings. It's a little bit different. But if you are expecting to start the business and then have revenue coming in straight away, it does take some time, right? So that's where, as Alyssa said, that 6 to 18 months is just based on what we've seen. Right? When we start working with people, supporting them, this is to get a sustainable income. There's a big range in there as well. Also, everyone starts at different points within that too. Absolutely love that. We're going to keep working through a couple more of these questions. Yasmin, I'm going to jump into your one first. I'm actually going to talk about the couple of different Instagram side of this question, because this is a really good question. It's hey, if I have multiple target markets, multiple audiences, multiple offerings, like it can get a little messy on one Instagram, right? So yeah, a solution could be that you end up with lots of Instagrams. Do not do this. It's a terrible idea, right? Mainly because it's so hard to have one Instagram in the first place. To consistently post on one, to engage on one is already quite a lot of work, right? So it's best not to suddenly split that into multiple. We've seen people do this, right? We started working with people who are like, so I have like 5 Instagrams, one for each of my offerings, and they're like, they haven't posted on half of them for ages and they feel very overwhelmed, right? Having one Instagram is going to be key. Look, we have seen cases where someone might have their own like private personal Instagram and then maybe a business Instagram. That's a little bit different. We're really talking about the main Instagram that you have to promote what you do, to share with your audience. So therefore, part of it here, Yasmin, and for other people is to get really clear on what are those offerings and target markets and how can they connect and relate with each other. Now, you might find they're quite different, and that's okay. You can be posting multiple things as long as one thing is not going to offend someone else, right? So, which most things that you're doing aren't going to be offensive. The people that are interested in murals, they'll notice the mural stuff. The people that are then interested in more of the graphic design, they'll pick on that stuff and they'll probably ignore the other things. Or they'll be like, oh, that's cool that this graphic designer also does book covers or murals or these other things as well. Look, as long as it's still in the visual creative space, right? It usually doesn't make sense if you're like, hey, like, I'm a visual creative, I do book covers, and then I've also got a lawn mowing business. It's like, of course, don't post them on the same one. I mean, that could get kind of fun and interesting, but generally that's not what we would recommend, right? So generally you want to go keep it to one and get a strategy for, might be sharing these multiple things as well. So I know there's a lot there. The cohesive look isn't as important as you think it might be. Right? Really, really important within that. And honestly, it used to be more important on Instagram to have that beautiful grid. It's not as important these days. It's really important to note that things do evolve and change as well within this. I love it. Another question that we did get sent in before that I do want to jump into, it's really around how you can actually get started as an aspiring illustrator, right? You're like, hey, I haven't had a client before. Obviously, we've done a lot of tips and strategies and things that you can do around this today. But the biggest thing I'll say is that the sooner you get moving, the sooner you can actually have a business, right? What some people do is they're like, first, I need to spend a year creating a portfolio of work, even though they already have a bunch of their work, their designs are amazing, they can display things. They're like, oh, but I need to first flesh it out more. Where like the sooner you start working on the actual business, getting actual clients, the sooner you'll actually grow this business. And as you go, you'll get more designs, you'll get more work, you'll put that up. But you only actually need a handful of great work to give an example to ideal clients. Is it better to have more examples? Yeah, maybe, but it's even better to get started sooner and to get moving and to get that first client. So what we actually recommend is that as soon as possible, we want to get you to actually connect with those potential clients, start pitching, start networking, start marketing even earlier than you think, even if you don't have the perfect portfolio yet. Really, really important. We see this all the time where people hold off forever. They're like, next year, the year after, next summer, once I've done this, once I've got 4 more designs, then I'll get started. Now, the reason people do that is because it's scary to do that business stuff. It's way easier to work on your designs, but that's not the thing that's getting in your way usually. It's actually the business stuff here. So obviously there is a ton of things and information around this as well. This is where a lot of people struggle with these sorts of things, like getting started and getting moving as well. Look, our time has come towards the end, so we won't be able to answer any more questions, but honestly, this has been super fun, super interesting as well. I am going to drop that link in again just to make sure that everyone here who would love one of those freebie calls has one. Please do grab that link, pop that open and get a time booked in as soon as possible. And once again, just a reminder, if you've booked one in, please keep an eye out for an email from Celeste because we will need you to just do a little bit of prep just to make sure we're clear on where you're at. This link is for anyone who's happy with those caveats, and also if you're early stage, great. If you're further along, great. If you've had a business for 20 years, great. We would love to talk with you, get you processing some of what you've learned through that call with Alyssa or Paul from my team. Just as we wrap up, I would love everyone here to pop in the chat a takeaway, right? A takeaway from today. What have you learned? What have you found useful? What was interesting? It could be one word, it could be a sentence. What was helpful? What are you going to do differently? If everyone here live can just pop something in the chat, this will really help condense the learnings for everyone here. We always love to see what you've really noticed as well, what you found powerful too. I'm just going to have a look there in the chat. I love this. Get intentional. Yeah, that's such a powerful one. I love that. Thank you, Rebecca. Jenny sharing, do the business side now. I love it. Don't just keep creating because it's safe, right? Like it's safe, easy. We're going to have to get outside of that comfort zone, not too far, but we will need to get outside of that comfort zone. It's a numbers game. Lots of people need to know that you exist in order to have recurring work. Absolutely. Learn to just start now and stop waiting until it's perfect. I think we're all doing that, right? When the planets align perfectly and it's the great time to leave the day job or try and start this thing, it's like, no, the sooner that you actually get moving, the sooner you'll be able to get those dream outcomes that you have. Nice, Amy. Know, like, and trust. Other things, structure and focus, getting started versus portfolio. I might be just one Instagram post away from an incredible client. Love that, Amy. So many good things here. Love hearing Shari's story. Very much makes it real and possible. Absolutely, Jillian. It's so powerful as well. This is awesome. Lots being shared there in the chat. Keep adding things as well. Look, we unfortunately have to wrap up for today, but make sure you've got that call booked in with Alyssa or Paul. It's through that link there. Has this been fun? I think this has been great, Shari, hasn't it?
Yeah. Holy cow. Thank you everybody so much for being here and letting me share a bit of my story. You don't have to do this alone. And the fact that you showed up today, that says so much. So good luck, everybody.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap things up there. We'll stick around for a couple of minutes in the chat as well. But thank you for being here. Take care and we'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, all, me again. Look, if you didn't manage to come along live, this free call that we mentioned to Alyssa or Paul is also for you as well. We'll make sure we include the link in the email. So go back to the email where you found this and make sure you do book in that call. It will only be valid for the next couple of days. So as soon as possible, but we would love to make sure that you can actually get on that freebie call as well. As I said, there's those caveats, so please just make sure you're aware of them. But look, honestly, get that call booked in. This is a great way to really condense these different learnings from your call as well. Thank you so much for watching the recording and take care. We'll talk soon. Ciao.